Previously on Making Over Our Dream Home. In episode 1, we tackled the living room. We had just moved into our new home. I was newly pregnant. I am hungry. And we were desperate to have one space that felt complete. As we've continued to renovate room by room, our style began to change and develop into something completely different. Now, 2 years later, we felt it was time to revisit the focal point of our home, the living room. Guys, I think I have finally nailed down my style. In this video, you're gonna see a lot of mid-century modern. Things have certainly changed, haven't they? Let's go back 2 years ago, shall we? Shortly after we filmed that living room makeover video, we bit the bullet and replaced most of the flooring on the main level, removing all the old tile, the rug, the hardwood, and we replaced it with this beautiful wide plank whitewashed oak. This completely transformed the look and feel of our entire home. As we anticipated the arrival of our third baby, we turned the spare bedroom into a nursery. This was an eye-opening experience for Zach and I, and we realized we really didn't like mid-century modern at all. For months, I contemplated how to redesign the living room, but just the layout of it, the way it was, I was completely in over my head and I had no idea where to begin. It was then that I contacted an interior designer on Instagram. Her name is Megan Hart from Hart Interiors, and explained to her our dilemma. I sent her photos of our space, let her know our budget. She was very excited to help us out, and she worked with us to create a very beautiful design for the space that we were so excited about. We loved all the mismatched woods that she came up with. We loved the rug she chose. We love the big, cozy, comfy couch, the chairs. She was able to bring exactly what I was picturing or hoping for in my head into reality. So right away we started sourcing. Zach and I really enjoy antiquing and finding beautiful pieces for our home that are unique, that have this character and story behind them, but that's not something that can be done in a day. It takes time. So over the next few months, we searched high and low. We even traveled the distance to grab a few pieces, and we were able to find quite a number of pieces to fill our home with. And the things we couldn't find, such as the sofas, chairs, and rug, we did end up buying on sale. And then we waited. We waited for our couches to be made and shipped to us. We waited for the ensuite and the kitchen renovations to be done. And while we waited, this room slowly started to change as furniture was brought in. And then one day, we took apart our sectional because it comes in 2 pieces just to kind of play around with it. I really wanted to see how a sofa would look on this far wall. We've never had a sofa there before. And it looks really good with the TV because our TV is a Samsung Frame TV, so it literally just looks like a piece of art. And I've seen so many different homes that just have a piece of art on the wall above their couch, and so it looks natural. It looks like it was meant to be. I feel like I've just unlocked some kind of new hack that I've never seen before. My issue with this living room is that it always felt kind of lopsided, so I thought, why not put one sofa here, one sofa on the other side to make like a circle of seating and see how that feels. Everything feels cohesive and it flows well, and we can have conversations with people and we can still watch our TV. We don't have to give that up in order to have a pretty living room. A simple rearranging of the space made such a huge difference. We did have to sacrifice a lot of storage from Megan's plan, but I think it was well worth it. So now that we are all caught up, let me give you a tour of what the living room looked like 1 month ago. When we moved into this house, this was the first room that we tackled. We wanted a room that was complete, and so we just kind of went for it. We didn't really know what style we liked. So it started off as a mid-century modern style living room, but we never really enjoyed the way that it was. Something always felt a little bit off. It wasn't very welcoming for guests to come and sit and be with us because there wasn't good like conversation seating. Let me just take you through a brief tour of what has all changed in this living room so far. Pretty much all the furniture is different. A lot of the furniture we had previously is being moved downstairs, so it's still being used. Some of it's been donated, Some of it's been sold. The first thing I managed to score was this coffee table. I searched for months. We ended up traveling quite a distance to find this. I love it. It has so much character. Like underneath it's green, which means at one point it was painted green and it's been worn over the years. On the same trip, we also picked up this little combo here. I actually bought this intending for it to be a nightstand. Turned into an end table because I moved it in here and I loved it so much. We had a sideboard here for a while and I really enjoyed the storage. That was one thing I really wanted in this living room, but we really wanted a piano as well, and this felt like the best place to put one. And I love having it here. I love having it in the center where we can all just like be together and play music. We picked up a side table. We found a lamp at an antique store. It's really taken shape and it's this close to being done. So let's start with the first DIY. Oh, hi. I would say one of the most challenging parts about this makeover is trying to figure out how to blend in the new trim that we've put around the house with this wall detail. When we put it up, we knew we would be changing out the baseboards eventually, but we didn't put a lot of thought into how we were going to blend them together. We had been discussing what we wanted to do in here for quite some time. Eventually we decided on something. He went out and bought the materials, he was preparing to start cutting, and then I had an idea. You might hate me for this, but I was just thinking. Sorry.
You wonder why it takes so long to do renovations? Once we get the ball rolling, Delilah's like, hey Zach, I had an idea.
No, that's not true.
Quit. I'm going for a bike ride. Okay, what are we doing?
Okay, come inside.
Oh.
There's a lot of different things we could do to blend this in, but I think we've come up with a solution. So this is the trim that we have throughout the house. The tricky part here is trying to blend this in to this really thick stuff that's already on the wall. So what we could do is cut these shorter so that they would butt up against the bottom of this trim piece. What we were going to do, what Zach just bought material to do, was put a flat baseboard against this entire wall, but then we had the problem of trying to blend in that flat board with this trim around this curved corner. That's also like going up, like that's really complicated trim work. So Zach and I have both come to the conclusion we'll trim up to this first board on either side. Zach's going to cut the board that he bought down so that it'll fit right underneath these. And then we'll just have one short flat board from here all the way to here.
You're moving around too much.
So the flat board will run all the way from here till here. And then we'll continue along the rest of the walls with the regular trim, which is a compromise in between both of our ideas, and I think it's perfect. It's all about compromise. Zach cut the baseboard down and trimmed up the existing board and batten so everything was even and lined up. And once the future wall was figured out, he could finally finish up the rest of the baseboards in the living room. This was one of the last places in the home that trim needed to be finished up, and he was finally able to do that. He cut them all, wood-filled the nail holes, caulked the gaps, sanded, painted, and now it just looks so much more complete. Something about baseboards, it's one of those tasks that is so tedious and time-consuming, and it feels like it goes on forever, but when it's done, it looks so good. Zach got most of the trim work done and it looks so good. The only thing that we have yet to figure out is this little section right here. It's a very intricate, complicated, not really sure what we're gonna do here. So we're not gonna worry about that right now. Right now, we're gonna move on to the window trim. This window trim is what all of the trim looked like in our home before we replaced it with these nice, thick baseboards. So we're trying to just blend this in to make it look nice until we are able to replace these windows. We do need to paint these just because in wintertime there's a lot of like condensation buildup and water buildup on the windows and ice buildup on the windows, and then it kind of damages the wood. Painting it will help it last just a little bit longer until we do replace these windows. I do enjoy the look of wooden trim, but not this kind of wooden trim just because it is very orange. It's a very orange oak. Which just doesn't match well with our floors. So we're gonna paint this, I think, the same color as this door, which is the same color that all the doors are painted in our home. This is Florentine Plaster by Benjamin Moore. We can kind of bring that color into the living room and throughout the rest of the house. Hi. The door over there is painted this color, that door's painted this color, and so it'll just kind of flow together. Just giving it a quick sand so that the paint will stick better to the trim. We love getting the kids involved where we can. They feel included and enjoy being a part of what we're doing, and it's a great learning experience for them too. Super safe.
Well, it says it's not a step. It doesn't say this is not a seat. So, ne pas rester debout in
Professional French, honey,
Yeah,
professional. Zach spent the day preparing the trim by sanding it down, cleaning it, filling in all the holes, and then he was finally able to do the painting part. The prep is always the longest. Last night, Zach put the first coat of paint on this window trim, and it looks so good. He's doing a second coat now, and that's probably good enough, hey? I shouldn't need another?
Yep.
Also, he did not tape off the inside of the window because it's actually easier to scrape off after it's started to dry instead of
if a latex
taping.
paint is used.
If it's a latex paint, Zach says. Nice. It looks a little sloppy when you're doing it, but it cleans up beautifully. Next step. So when we first moved into this house, there were gold accents everywhere. We had gold door handles. Basically anything metal was gold. It was very 90s with the orange oak, and I liked it at the time, and I also didn't really know what direction we were going in with our house. So naturally, when I ordered a curtain rod, I ordered a gold one. And now we no longer have...
You are smooth like butter.
We don't have gold in our house anymore. The only metals we have in our home are a mixture of brass, oil rubbed bronze, and chrome. The more traditional metals. So we're just gonna spray paint. This is antique brass spray paint, so we're just gonna give this a quick little spray paint, a real simple fix. You're not gonna see it too close anyway because they're pretty high up. The rod is done, painted and up, so now I just have to hang the curtains. Now, previously in the old makeover, we had thrifted curtains, which were nice, but I wanted something that wasn't white. Pretty much all the walls in our home is white, and this room is very big. The ceilings are very tall. I wanted to add some depth. So I ordered these curtains. Now, obviously these aren't very dark. I didn't want anything dark. But they're not white. They kind of break it up a little bit and add a little bit of depth, a little bit of something different. And I think this color pairs very well with the chairs that we have and the couches that we're gonna bring up as well. Originally I ordered 2, but then I realized, you know what, it might be kind of cool because this is such a big window to have 4 of them. And then when we open up the curtains for the day, to have a panel here, here, and there. Also, the cool thing about curtains is that if ever you feel kind of bored with your space and you want to switch it up, curtains is a great way to go because it's fairly inexpensive and it makes a huge impact in the room. Replacing the old blinds with more curtains makes the room feel so much more grand and soft. Hello, and welcome to our furnace room. This is our water heater. This is our furnace. This is a room you're probably not very familiar with, but this is where I'm going to be doing a little DIY. In the inspiration photo that Megan sent me for our living room, there was a very beautiful lamp, my dream lamp, a lamp that I've been wanting for a long time, but the retail price of it was something ridiculous, like $200 or $300 or something like that, and I thought, I can do that for a lot cheaper. So I went to Marketplace, I found this lamp, which is the perfect base, very similar to the picture. One day when I was thrifting, I found this lampshade for $4. Still have the tag in here. I don't remember what I paid for this lamp. I think it was something like $20 maybe. So in total, I spent about $24. The shape is perfect. It even has some really nice texture to it. The color is pretty much exactly what I want. The only thing is I don't love these lines in here. It's like someone went in with toothpicks or a fork or a comb or something and just like made a bunch of swirly lines. I'm gonna take some spackling. I'm going to rub it in. Then I'm going to go in with like some spray paint, some paints, maybe some dirt. I don't know. We'll get creative, and we'll do our best to make this $24 lamp look like it was $300. Looking back, I wish I would have sanded the lamp down first because there was a lot of deep texture that I wasn't able to cover. But it is what it is, you live and you learn, and now I know better for the next time I want to do a DIY like this. So the mud dried, I went ahead and sanded it down and then gave it a little wipe so that we can move on to the next step. But I'm gonna be honest, the texture that came out of this isn't my favorite. You can still see some of the lines. I might use some other kind of texturizing thing or DIY to give this the texture I'm looking for. I went ahead and purchased a few matte acrylic paints. We're gonna start with this, and if I feel like it needs something else, I'll do something else, and we're just going to continue playing around with it until I'm happy with the result. The colors I used were Burnt Umber, Espresso, Brown, Golden Brown, and Tan by Craft Smart. I started with the darkest color, making sure to get into all the cracks and grooves so there wasn't any mud peeking through. A small paintbrush was very helpful for this. Then I started playing around with the lighter colors, trying to make it look less like it was painted and more like clay or a raw material like the photo that Megan sent. I found it worked best to let the lamp dry for a few minutes and then came back with a dry brush with just a touch of light brown, gray paint and brush and blend and just continue working my way to where I want it to be. It's getting pretty dark now, but basically at this point I'm just kind of playing around with some lighter colors, just adding a little bit of depth and dimension, and I'm really liking where this is going. Right now I think I'm just going to plug it in, see how I feel about it, sit on it for a few days. It is getting pretty dark outside, so let's try it out. I would like to go back in and do the dirt trick yet, but I liked it enough as it was to let it be for now, and I'll just save that project for a rainy day. Zach's going to start trying to figure out how we're going to strip this coffee table without taking away the character of it. So this is our coffee table. It's over 100 years old. It came from Ontario. Somebody a long time ago cut it down to be a coffee table. It used to be a baker's table, so now it's our coffee table. I love it. I love everything about it. I love that it used to be painted green. Such a cool characteristic of this coffee table, and I don't want to take that away, but I don't love the glossy yellow finish. We're gonna do just some like test spots on here first to see which one works best, but we're gonna just try and be very gentle. Zach's gonna try just sanding it first.
It actually works pretty good.
Maybe we don't need to strip it. Like that's exactly what I want it to look like. Top is where it's the thickest.
See, that's but sanding. Sanding is gonna take a lot of the imperfections away.
Okay, so the conclusion we've come to is we're gonna sand the base of it down
because
with
it
a
doesn't
sander.
have imperfections.
Yeah.
And you want to preserve the imperfections and the chips and stuff.
Yeah. I love the imperfections in the top.
It'll round it out so much. So we're gonna try a stripper on the top and use like a steel brush with a stripper in the imperfections to preserve. Like even these cracks here. Like if we were to sand this, they would eventually just be kind of smooth or rounded, right? So
yeah, we want to keep that. Hopefully this works. Zach tested a few different stripping products and eventually settled on one that successfully took off the thick glossy varnish, but still left that green paint underneath and brought the wood back down to its natural original color. After becoming so used to seeing that like darker yellow glossy coffee table, it was almost a shock to me to see the coffee table that light in color in its natural state. But I absolutely love the way that it turned out. Interestingly, we discovered that the bottom half of the table is made from what we think is oak, and the top half is made of pine. Those woods are very different in their tones. Pine is a lot more yellow, whereas oak is a lot more like red orange. We still need to seal the top of this coffee table with a wax finish to prevent it from getting damaged or stained. We just haven't quite figured out what product we're going to use yet because we don't want to alter the way that it looks now. So one of the big things I wanted to do in this room was replace the frame for our TV. We could buy one. They are pretty expensive. Honestly, they're a lot cheaper than I originally thought they were. I swear like 2 years ago when I was looking at frames, they were like $1,000, $2,000. They're a lot cheaper on Amazon now, but I still don't want to spend that much money. So we're gonna try and DIY something. We've been playing around with this all morning trying to figure out what exactly we're gonna do, and we're still not totally sure. We do have paint and things like that, so we only had to purchase the wood, which Zach said was about $118.
That could be just...
He thinks. He's not really sure. So he went and picked up a few decorative trim pieces, a flat trim piece for the outside of the frame. Our plan is we're gonna try and utilize the frame that's already on the TV. These are magnetic, so they just clip in really nice, and I like that. I wanna keep the convenience of that. So we're gonna try and just glue the new frame right onto here and then spray paint it and make it all nice and pretty after. And then it should be able to just clip right back on. That's what we're gonna try and do. And
somehow.
If this doesn't work out, then we can just buy the other one and we'll have wasted over $100 and
then still have to buy the other one.
So let's hope this works out. Okay, so Zach picked up 2 flat pieces. These are gonna be for the outside of the frame. And then we picked up just a couple decorative pieces.
Can you explain why we use MDF instead of real wood?
Oh, are these flat trim pieces MDF?
Yes, they're not real wood.
So we picked up these ones specifically because they are lighter than wood. Also, then we picked up a couple of decorative trim pieces that we are going to use to create a frame. The flat pieces are going to be on the outer edge of the TV. This is going to sit on the face of the TV, so like this. I think we're going to glue this piece right onto the frame we have currently, so it'll be like that. And then this piece is going to add just a little decorative touch. And then I think once it's all painted and wood filled and everything, it's gonna look like a really nice picture frame. We have no idea what we're doing. We are completely making this up. We used a tutorial we found online to guide us in the direction that we're gonna go, but all of this is just made up, so let's hope that this works.
Are you cutting the wood and doing it?
Zach's gonna take over from here. I'm not dressed appropriately. We did not film every step of this because truthfully, we did not have high hopes that this one was gonna work out, but I wish we would have because, spoiler alert, this is the best DIY Zach and I have ever done. We are so happy with how it turned out, so I'm going to do my very best to explain this to you. Zach started by trimming down the MDF boards to the same width and length of the TV. This is what we used as the outer frame and the base for the decorative pieces to attach to. He ended up making this all one piece so it could just slide on and sit on the TV as it was, instead of our original plan of having 4 separate pieces that we would glue onto the frame. In fact, we didn't use anything to glue it or attach it to the TV at all. It just slides on and it sits there very secure. Once the frame was built, he added spacers to the inside of the frame so it would sit snug according to our measurements. This is something I can't really give you measurements for because it all depends on what size your TV is, on what size of trim you find at your local hardware store. You're gonna have to do the puzzling and math and figuring out on your own for this one, sorry. For these, he just used wood glue to attach the decorative pieces to the frame and he let it dry overnight. The more simple decorative piece he glued to the inside of the frame. This is the piece that covers the face of the original TV frame. The more intricate piece he glued right on top to cover up the MDF board and add some depth and detail.
Thankfully, My measurements were all great and it fits perfectly. So the only thing that we need to do at this point is to fill in a bit of a gap. I don't think we'll actually fill in any of the corners, just so that it looks more natural and more kind of rustic, I guess you could say.
Zach filled in the gap between the top decorative trim with paintable caulking, and then the base was done. How good does this look? Zach did a wonderful job, and whatever he did, it really worked, because this is gonna be incredible on that wall. Now that we have the structure down, we need to make it look pretty. So Zach went ahead and spray painted the whole thing black last night. That is going to act as a base for our rub and buff. I am not very familiar with rub and buff, but I've seen it work wonders on a number of other people's DIY projects, so I think this will be great. This is in the color Antique Gold. The rub and buff is going to cover the top surfaces, while the black will be in like the cracks, so it's gonna add that little bit of dimension and depth, and I think it's gonna be beautiful. Truthfully, I borrowed this rub and buff from my mom's old stash, so it was old and pretty dry, but we made it work. We were feeling a little skeptical after we painted it black, but as soon as I started rubbing that gold stuff on, like it just came to life. See my brush? It's destroyed, but we had just enough left to cover the entire thing.
Beautiful.
We are so excited. It looks so good. Whoa.
We made this. Wow. We did good.
High five. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That is...
Wow. I'm legitimately super impressed with myself. I'm actually kind of surprised that it looks that good, because I did all the measurements, but it never works out for me.
Today is the day I've been waiting almost a year for. We ordered the couches at the very beginning of this year. The couches are made to order, so it took a number of months before they were even made. And then we had to figure out how to get them shipped to us, which was a whole process, but we finally figured that out. They arrived during Eloise's birthday party, actually. And ever since, they've been sitting in her basement just waiting for this day. The couches are kind of the last step in this process, and I'm thinking it's gonna just really bring it all together. Zach called up a friend who so kindly came over to give us a hand with this. Thank you so much. Is this the right way? No, that's not the right way. This is backwards.
How many times are you gonna walk back and forth?
It's gonna take a few times.
A little wrinkly.
Do you have anything nice to say about our new couches?
No.
Kids won't be able to take these cushions off. These are huge. So these couches are from Sixpenny. The reason we went for these ones specifically was because of the size. Our living room is a challenging shape to design, and I think that's the reason I had such a hard time with this room in the first place, was because I didn't know how to put furniture in here that made sense. It is a hallway, so it needs to have a clear walking path through, but I wanted it to feel communal and like inviting to sit in. Having two sofas on either side just made sense for this space, but the challenge was the arch going from the living room to the dining room. Now this is one of my favorite parts about the house, but it shortens that wall, so whatever couch or piece of furniture is on that side has to be shorter than the one on this side. But I wanted it to still feel even. So we ended up getting the Neva sofa, the large size and the small size. The size difference was just enough so that the small sofa would fit on that side, but they wouldn't feel too uneven and lopsided. It's amazing. I love that there's a slip cover because it means that I can take it off and wash it whenever it gets dirty, because it will. We have children, as you can hear in the background. But also, if I get tired of the color, I can just buy a new slip cover and it will change the look completely. Okay, now we need to figure out what to do in this corner. I really do love this table. I love the look of it. I love like the size. It's perfect. It fits here perfectly, functions well, but it doesn't really match the rest of the living room. This will probably move downstairs where the old couches are going. This is the end table that was originally sitting over there. Wondering how it might look here. I like it, I don't love it, and I don't think it looks great with the essential oils there. The woods just kind of clash. So my other option is this guy. I went back and forth with this for a while because I wanted to use what I had. I didn't want to have to go and buy something else yet. I really wanted the dark wood table there to kind of ground that space. So I replaced the essential oils with some artwork instead. It still felt a little empty and unfinished, so I found a vase from my storage, and then I stole some greenery from my bathroom, and this corner just came to life. What used to be my least favorite part of the living room is now one of my most favorite little moments in the house. And all I did was rearrange a few things that we already had. If you are feeling bored with your space, this is your encouragement to go and just rearrange a few things because it will make such a difference. Okay, moving on. I need to figure out what to do with this wall. I still like this. I think I'm just tired of the decor I've had on it for the last year or so I think it's just time to switch things up. I have pulled out some frames from my stash, so I'm going to rearrange and play around with this until it makes sense. Alright, this is where we settled. It's nothing too different from what we had before. But I want to let you in on one of my most favorite ways to decorate our home on a budget. The first thing you're going to need is a frame. Go to the thrift store, find yourself a frame. Do not worry if there is no glass in the frame because we actually do not need one for this hack, which is really handy because lots of the time pretty frames at the thrift store are very, very cheap if they don't have glass. Next, go to Etsy, order yourself a digital download of a print that you really enjoy. This is the one that I ended up settling on. I can link it below as well as some of my favorite stores to shop at. You can get these for so cheap, like just a few dollars, and then you have it forever and you can print it as many times as you want in as many sizes as you want. So I went ahead and I ordered a few prints. This is the one we're going to be DIYing today, but I also ordered a couple others for some of the other frames up there. Honestly, you can even use one of your own like family portraits and use the brushstroke app. You have to pay a little bit of money for this app, but it turns any of your photos into a painting. And it's actually really nice. Like, it's not corny like it sounds. It's actually really nice. So you could even do that. Then buy yourself some of this Liquitex matte super heavy gel. I can also link this down below. And all you're going to do is take a brush and paint this all over your picture. It will look funny as you paint it, but it'll dry clear, and when you're done, it's gonna look like an actual oil painting. I learned this from Thimble and Cloth on Instagram. I will link her account below because she has lots of fantastic DIYs for your home that are easy and affordable. This is one of the very last steps before we're done. I like to try and imagine what kind of brush strokes the painter would have used when painting this picture and brush this on in a similar way. But I think ultimately the trick is not to overthink it. Don't spend a lot of time trying to make it perfect, just brush it on, trust the process. I let this dry overnight and the next day it was ready to be put into the frame. Since this frame did not have a back, I made my own out of cardboard. Then I cut the photo to size and I used my children's glue stick to glue the photo on.
Shows up nice on camera.
Good.
Nice.
Feeling very professional right now.
You are.
Artwork that looks like it was purchased from a high-end store. Okay, wait, there's one last detail I almost forgot about because they took a little bit long to come in and we really wanted to decorate for Christmas. So it's not gonna be in the final shots because the Christmas decorations are up now, but I don't wanna leave this out because the small details are extremely important. We got these switch plate covers in antique brass by Atron. They're from Home Depot, I'll link them below. But it's these little details that make such a big difference in a home. You might think, plate covers, is that really necessary? Is that really that important? And I'm here to tell you that yes, it is, because it is details like these that take a home from being builder grade to character. They make a huge difference. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no.
Don't push it.
No, it has to work.
It will work. I'll just have to...
Let's take a moment to remember what this room looked like 2 years ago. We had a strong mid-century modern theme going on, a sectional in the corner, orange oak floors, brown leather chairs, a rug that was too small, a lot of wicker. Not bad, but not our thing. Here's what the living room looks like now. This space is completely transformed from what it used to be 2 years ago, and we cannot get enough of it. It's cozy and inviting and great for hosting, but yet we can still snuggle up on the couch and watch a movie. Megan, thank you so much for helping us out and getting us started. If you are struggling with your own home right now, give Megan a shout. I'll leave all of her contact information in the description box for you. Thank you so much for watching episode 5. 5? I think this is the 5th episode of Making Over Our Dream Home. If you've missed past episodes, I will leave that playlist linked in the description box for you. So far, we have renovated the living room twice, the ensuite, nursery, and kitchen part 1. We have a lot more projects on the horizon, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the exciting things coming your way very soon. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.
It's Eloise. You said so much little detail. What does that even mean?
I don't know, it's in my head. But as soon as I start rubbing...
It's all these little details.